Welcome to Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing experts Robert O'Haver and Matt Weber. Powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Search Talk Live. My name is Robert O'Haver, along with Matt Weber of Roar Internet Marketing. Matt, how's it going?
I'm doing fantastic, Rob. Ready for an exciting show, and also looking forward to this particular podcast because we've got a guest that's taken a little bit of a different angle on link building, which can be somewhat of a controversial topic for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. Those of you just tuning in for the first time, Search Talk Live, we talk about everything to do with digital marketing. It could be search engine optimization, could be social media, content marketing, you name it. We try to cover it, give something, a little bit of something for everybody. If you have questions during the show, you can go to Twitter and type in hashtag Search Talk Live. That's hashtag Search Talk Live on Twitter, and we'll answer your questions live on the air. Today, our guest is been in the industry quite a long time, and he has a platform he wants to tell people about, but he's also got some interesting steps to a system to help you pretty much rank for anything, keyword phrase wise. And our guest today is Adam White. Adam, how's it going?
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, glad to have you. So let's so people that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and your company.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of SEO, I started SEO, like you said, many years ago. I think 2002 was my first introduction to SEO, and been doing it for 15 years now. I grew up in Arizona. I have a wife. I have 6 kids. I'm a family man, and they take up most of my time, as you can imagine. But apart from that, it's when I'm doing SEO mostly. So
nice.
That is awesome. 6 kids. You got your own basketball team.
Yeah, well, ironically, I played college basketball, and my oldest son he's 6'6" and is just passing me up. And so if I didn't have a bunch of girls, I have 2 boys and 4 girls, so I don't know, they're more into dance, but the 2 boys definitely love to play.
Well, I'm kind of grateful you have girls. It saves your food budget.
Yeah, you'd imagine that, but one of my daughters is probably going to be 6'4", so she eats as much as the teenage boys do.
Wow.
All right, so Adam, let's get into it. So tell us a little bit about SEO Jet.
Yeah, so I guess SEO Jet, it's a software platform that basically helps SEOs, digital marketing agencies, or just even anybody doing SEO, helps you build out a natural backlink profile. The way that it came to be was I was actually, as I was doing SEO for clients, this is just in the recent past here, and it was post all the big major Google updates. As we all know, back in the olden days, you could just really manipulate the rankings by just hitting Google with a bunch of links that said whatever anchor text you want to rank for, And once they changed that, it became like the question was, okay, everyone says, yes, you need to be natural in your link building, right? You need to have a natural backlink profile, but nobody would talk about what that meant specifically, right? It was just a complete guessing game. And for me, I hated that I was guessing. And I took on a really big high profile client, Marcus Lemonis, who if you've seen the TV show The Profit on CNBC, he's basically like a Shark Tank guy. Anyway, I was doing SEO for him. It's a long story. If you want to talk about, we can. But how I acquired him as a client was a very interesting thing. But anyways, I was doing SEO for him, and I hated that I was guessing as I was link building, right? And I was like, okay, do I do a keyword and anchor text? Do I just do a URL anchor? As I'm helping him build out links, and that just the guessing just drove me crazy, right? And it made it so my progress would stall, right? Because either I was too petrified to do anything, or what I was doing wasn't actually working or making any difference. And all the while I'm going, I hope I'm not doing something wrong here. You know what I mean? And it was that kind of mentality that I thought, okay, if figure it out. And so what I did was I literally went to Google and just did search after search after search. I just looked at phrases I knew there was high search volume on, and I looked at the number 1 ranked sites. And I did this for every industry, every niche, and just looked at these and I said, okay, let me look at their backlink profile, the page that ranks number 1, right? And let's see what Google's saying. This deserves to be number 1. This is what we think is natural. And so as I basically looked at every single link, every anchor text of every link by hand, thousands and thousands of links, I started to notice correlations and patterns across all industries, right? It didn't matter what industry it was in. And that's when I kind of got a really good idea of, okay, this is what Google expects to see. And in that, was able to create 13 different anchor text categories that I thought I can fit every single link into one of these anchor text categories. And once I had that and I had categorized every single link, that's when it really was like eye-opening on what Google was putting at number one, and how to from there go kind of build a roadmap of links that I knew that I needed to do to match what other number one ranked sites were doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so really what you're putting forth for the first time is that part of what's determining the value of a backlink isn't the value or the quality of the website that it's on, but the actual type of backlink that it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what the actual anchor text says, that's a big factor.
Tell us about the categories you came up with.
Yeah, so there's 13 categories, and the biggest one, which was really, really surprised me, right there. So I'll just go through them really quick, right? So the first one is keyword anchor text, right? That's like your whatever phrase you're trying to rank for. Let's say you're trying to rank for SEO services. That's your anchor text. That's a keyword anchor. Then you have full URL is your anchor text. Your brand name, your brand plus a keyword. So SEO Jet's backlink software, right? That would be a brand plus a keyword. Then you have the page title anchor text, which is like if you write a blog post, the title of that blog post typically would mean the SEO title, which that ends up being the anchor text, right? Then you have a partial keyword. So, if it's SEO services, it would be the word SEO or services, but not the full thing. And then you have your URL written like Amazon.com without any W's or HTTPs, right? Or you have your home URL when it's on a sub-page link. Your URL without the HTTP, so just with W's and then whatever your URL is. Then you have no text, which is typically from an image link. And then you have keyword plus, so it's your keyword plus other words. So it's these SEO services here. That full thing would be your anchor. It has a phrase in there, but it's more words than that. And then a natural one is like click here or this site or this post or whatever. It has no reference to a key phrase. Sorry, so there's 12 anchor text categories.
And right? You saw a difference in the impact of the link based on what category the link was in.
Yeah, and what I really saw was, for example, the page title anchor text, right? This one, and in fact, I wrote about this on Search Engine Journal and how this was like the most untalked about anchor text, but the most often occurring for pages that rank number one. So basically, this is the anchor text where, again, if it's a blog post, then it's going to be literally the title of the blog post is going to be the anchor text. So if you think about it, it makes total sense because you refer to a blog post by its name, right? You're either going to do its URL or its name typically, right? Just like you refer to a book by its title. So having this as your anchor text makes sense, right? A natural evolution of the internet. But the other thing is, if you're smart SEO, you know that in your blog post title, you're going to put your key phrases right there, right? So you're getting natural key phrase filled anchors. And Google's smart enough to pull the key phrase out of that full title. So that's one that was occurring over and over and over again the most. And as we looked at all these different sites, it ranked number one. So yeah, that was the thing. I started to see extreme correlations again across all categories and industries, and I'm like, I get it now. I only need 3% of my. If I'm trying to target the word SEO services on a page, only 3 out of 100 links can actually be that phrase, right? That was kind of the stuff that we were finding out. And it just made it so we could create a roadmap so that as I'm doing link building for any person or for myself, that I would know that I'm staying in the ranges that I know Google expects me to be in to maintain a natural profile.
Okay, so not only does it give you some sense of what type of link is valuable, it gives you a sense of holistically what should your link profile look like by being different types of backlinks at different quantities. Yeah.
So for example, your homepage is different; it's its own separate beast. But then you have, typical, and we can talk about that in a minute. But a typical blog post, for example, you're going to want to have 45-55% of your links will be have some form of the key phrase in it, but it won't be the key phrase by itself. So it'll be partial key phrase or key phrase plus other words or your page title, something like that. But it's not the phrase by itself, right? And then 10 to 15% will be all the phrases that you're targeting on that page by themselves. And then the rest will all be natural stuff, your brand name, your URL anchor, or some form of URL anchor, or a natural anchor that doesn't have any reference to a key phrase, right? So you stay in those ranges. That's what, if you look at the number one ranked sites across industries, that's where they're going to be.
Now you got to tell us the story about Marcus Lemonis, one of my favorite shows.
Well, hold on. I want to ask you a question. I wanted to get something clarified for our listeners. Your platform is not something that goes out and builds the links for the people. It just gives you the structure of the anchor text.
Yeah. So it's, the software literally is like, it's just going to go, here's a map for you. Like it'll take all the links that you've already built to any page and say, okay, here's where it'll read the anchor text and go, here's where these fall in, right? Here's the categories you've done so far. and here's where you need to go to make this to fall in the right ranges to match other number one ranked sites, or you're good. You just need to continue down this path. Here's the links that you need to continue to build, right? Because as you know, it's not something you can just stop once. Oh, we're in the ranges. We're good to go with this. You continue to build links all the time, so it just keeps you in those in the correct ranges. So.
Right. Okay, let's go into Marcus Lemon now. Sorry, I just want to make sure everybody understood.
Yeah, no problem. If you have questions like that, please feel free to ask. But so I was like you, I'm a huge fan and of the show The Prophet, and so much so that I would find myself like I would watch the show and you see how he goes and he fixes up these small businesses and makes them amazing, and it's just like, wow, how did he do that? That seems so easy, So I would find myself going into like I'd be at my gym going, man, I would do this and this and this, and I would get double the amount of subscribers they had at this gym, or whatever. I find myself doing that all the time. So I just wrote this blog post, and I'd be in the gym going, why am I thinking about this? This is so dumb. I'm here to work out, So anyway, so I wrote this blog post that was like tongue in cheek, like why The Prophet is the worst show on TV. That's what I titled.
Oh my gosh.
Blog. And that was just the article was just like, hey. I can't sleep at night. Every time I watch your show, I'm up all night thinking about how I can help businesses. Why can't you just let me relax like those other reality shows where they blow up, beaver dams and whatnot? I was just totally messing around or whatever. So I'm like, let me just promote this to his fans. I do a Facebook post, a promotion post, and just target his fans and see what happens. So I did that, and it was I did like a $5 promotion. It was something stupid low, and it literally within an hour. My phone started blowing up, and I look and I'm like, just see comments and all kinds of crazy things happen. And I realized that Marcus had seen the post and shared it on his Facebook page of his 200,000 followers.
Wow.
And so I'm like, oh no, I mean, this is amazing. But then of course my site can't handle all the traffic. They weren't prepared for it. So it shut down. And so now all they can see is this headline. And all Marcus wrote was, finally someone writes an accurate title about my show, and they see why this is the worst show on TV, but they can't go to the site to read the article to see it tongue in cheek, so they just think I'm bashing the show. And so it breaks the internet with people like attacking me and what an idiot I am and how I'm the dumbest person in the world. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. And so I literally posted a comment on his Facebook page saying, hey Marcus, I wrote the article. I don't know what people are reading, but I knew they couldn't actually get to the site, but I pretended that they were reading the article. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, I don't know why they can't read the sarcasm here, but I love your show. And he immediately replies back and says, no, I know you love the show. The article was great. That's why I posted it. So then at that point, all those people that were attacking me now are like, oh, I got to be on Marcus' side here. So now they all come to my defense and tell me what a genius I am and how I'm amazing. And they still can't read the article. They're just going based on, they want to stay on his good side. So now they all are telling me how brilliant I am, even though I haven't read the article yet still. Anyways, so finally the site comes back up and people can actually read it. But it became such a viral post for him that he literally started paying to promote it. So
wow.
I saw my post showing up everywhere, and then it was to that point it was the most viral post ever on Facebook, and so he just kind of piggybacked off that. Well, then I get it. He messaged me on Twitter I don't know, a week later with just like a black, like an image. It was just a black square, and it said, "Is the Prophet the worst show on TV?" And I'm like, what is this? Why is he sending this to me? I'm like, I knew he made T-shirts and stuff. I thought maybe he was selling T-shirts.
Wow.
And then I see a picture. I don't know if he sent it to me or someone else sent it to me. And it's a billboard in Los Angeles that literally says, "Is the Prophet the worst show on TV?"
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm like, okay, so clearly at this point he thinks enough of me to where I'm gonna pitch him now. I can pitch him now, but it doesn't seem like a pitch, right? So I just said, hey, I love the billboard. Speaking of love, I'd love to help your sites get to the top of Google. We should chat sometime. And I just left it at that. I was very cool about it. And he literally messaged me back in 30 seconds and said, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's start with these two.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Literally right there, I hired him to do SEO for him. So
wow. Now I think I remember from reading online that one of them was Sweet Pete's that you started with.
Yeah, Sweet Pete, yeah.
So tell us how you were. Did you have SEO Jet at that point?
No, so this is kind of how SEO Jet was born, right? Because as I was doing SEO for him, I was like, what if I get Sweet Pete's banned? Yeah, what if I do? I mean, I've been doing SEO for a long time. I was pretty confident in my abilities, but at the same time, it's like I had actually just taken 2 years off to go make a feature film, right? Which is kind of a crazy what, but it was like one of those dream projects. I was like, okay, now's the time I'm going to do this, and I did it. And I got back into SEO, so I was a little bit like hesitant because I'm like, what did I miss in those 2 years? You know what I mean? I had a good idea of how things work, but I was just a little bit gun shy. And so because nobody was outlining this for me, this one thing of the anchor text profiles, that I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. And that's kind of how that came to be.
Wow. Now, I imagine that Sweet Pete's was trying to rank for geo-specific terms like candy shop, Jacksonville, candy, Jacksonville. How did your tool and your philosophy help with local search in that situation?
Yeah, they actually weren't. They didn't want local search at all. He wanted to nationally rank for candy phrases.
Oh.
And which was weird because a lot of stuff they can't even sell and ship during part of the year because it's too hot, you know what I mean? Because it's chocolate.
Right.
But that's what he said. He goes, we were like things like online candy store and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But the rankings were actually pretty good. I just, at some point, I'm like, you know what? SEO is going to, this is where my time is going to be spent. So we just parted ways and that was it. But the rankings were good. And they actually, their biggest thing was they and this is a common issue in the SEO world is they had never done SEO before ever because he does mostly retail stuff and he's like, how do we understand the return on investment? How do we understand that? And that was their hardest thing. And when you can't show them, look at this key phrase that brought this traffic, right? Because Google won't report that. So it was one of those things where it was a headache, quite frankly.
And how do you deal with that question today when people say, being number one in Google, in quotes, is elusive because of the AI affecting the different rank? How do I measure my results for organic efforts if I can't judge by what I see on my own computer when I Google my phrase? How do you help people with that?
Yeah, and it's more than that even. I think it's even in Google Analytics, 90% of the searches say it's unknown or whatever, untracked, whatever they say, however they call it, but
not provided.
So you don't really know which phrases are. You kind of have to reverse engineer it, which is you go look at, you use webmaster tools in conjunction with analytics and say, okay, then you can see, okay, this phrase got this many clicks this month, and then you go to that, which page is ranking. You go to that page and say, okay, look at all the traffic that came through this page. So then you can just kind of get an idea of what phrase is driving what traffic, but it's an inexact science unless somebody's going to report exactly what phrase people search all the time. I know there's one software program out there that I've seen before that tries to solve that problem. I can't remember what it's called, but that's a problem to be solved in the industry if someone's looking for a business idea.
Well, what's your sense of a business saying, well, let's just look at the leads, or if it's an online website, the sales that are sourced organic. If our ranking is growing, even though we can't put our finger on it and say it was this phrase or that phrase, in totality, if our results are increasing sourced to organic, we're having the positive effect that we're looking for. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, except in my situation with Marcus, they had so much brand recognition that they could just make the argument, well, we did that. You know what I mean? Because it was on TV. So I couldn't use that argument with him, even though I think it was true.
That's a good point.
Right. Because the branded searches were going to get mixed up into the non-branded searches.
Yeah. And being on TV, you just have so much brand recognition at that point.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Have you ran into an issue with Google's constantly doing updates with stuff, the way your platform is set up? Have you had to make some adjustments or not so much?
Yeah, so we'll literally continually look at number one ranked sites and see what's happening, and we've shifted the software percentages that we say, hey, be in these ranges. We've shifted those as we've seen overall number shift. It hasn't been big shifts; it's tiny stuff, but even then, we make sure that what's happening, and then we've seen other things that have worked that we will literally say, okay, hey, this is not really part of the software, but we've seen it make such a big difference that we're going to say, we suggest you do this if you want the software to work as good as it possibly can. You know what I mean? So we really try to keep on top of what's working now. And the nice thing is we have such a huge pool of sites. We have 260,000 or some links that are being tracked for SEO Jet right now. So it's, we have a lot of data to work with to say this stuff's really working and this stuff isn't.
Right. All right. Does that get us talking to about the three-step system, or? Yeah.
So basically, when I first started with the link mapping, which is what I call it, it was a system that was working very well for me personally. And so I'm like, and I was running it all through Excel spreadsheets before SEO Jet was built. And it was extremely difficult to track everything. And it just was a giant mess. And so that was really, I built SEO Jet for me first and foremost, because I needed something to track and something to tell me every time I was working on a link for somebody, this is what I should be working on. But here's kind of the three things that SEO Jet's really going to walk you through as you do SEO, and anybody at any level can do this. This is why it works well. So the very first thing that we say is you have to do your homepage SEO right. And there's that group of people who are like, well, I want to target all my main key phrases on my homepage. And we say that's fine. If you want to target your key phrases on your homepage, you can do that in content. You can write the content in a way that does that, right? Your homepage SEO can target key phrases. But when you build links to your homepage, you need to build brand trust with Google. And the way you get brand trust is look at big brands, right? Because that Google trusts, like Amazon or Apple or Wikipedia, whoever it is, right? People that show up in the rankings all the time, that's who Google trusts. And you look at their homepage link building and you say, okay, you can literally go to use a program like Majestic or Ahrefs and see who's linking to their homepage, what the links say, right? And you'll notice that 95 to 99% of those links are either their brand name. I'm talking about the anchor text of those links are either their brand name or some form of the URL. Almost always, right? That's just what it is. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because if brands have fans, right? You have people that love Apple and they link to them anytime they do anything, or they get publicity, so they get links that way. And all those links say the brand name or some form of URL to the homepage. That's what Google expects to see. And Google will look at their profile and say, we understand this is a natural profile, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's the first step, is building out a homepage backlink profile that matches what Google expects.
What about interior pages?
So that's step.
You there?
Did you say that again? Sorry.
I said, what about interior pages?
So interior pages, okay. So that's really the second step, right? And I know that Heather just talked about Brian Dean, right? And Brian he's like the main SEO instructor in the world right now. And one thing that he does, and I don't know if he necessarily teaches this a ton, but if you just watch what he does with his own site, you'll see what he does is he creates these pages that are just so amazingly huge and filled with amazing content that people can't ignore it, right? That's his goal, right? Is to create the best piece of content in the history of the internet so that everyone will want to share it. That's his strategy, and he does a really good job with that. So what we do, we call those power pages. And inside of SEO, we call those power pages, right? SEO power pages. And it's literally a piece of content that is content that somebody will literally read and go, I have to leave a comment because it was so good, or I'm gonna email this guy and tell them thank you for writing such awesome content. And like I've literally had people email me, which I'm like, who would go out of their way to like open up their email program and send an email to me saying thanks for this content, it was great. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that's the kind of content that you have to create, right? And as part of the research that he's done, he even said, it's top 10 pages, right? Pages that rank in the top 10 of Google on average have 1,800 plus words of content, right? So you can't, the days of being able to just really, unless you're doing local stuff, the days of being able to just write 500 words or even 1,000 words and say this is going to get it done, that's really kind of, those days are kind of over unless you're in a very non-competitive niche. Yeah. So you build these pages of amazing content that people love, and I say minimum 2,000 words. Although personally, I'll do 5,000 to 10,000 words on these pieces of content. I've seen some SEO guys that have done like literally 25 to 30,000 words on one article. Gotcha SEO is one of those guys that does that, and it's like reading a freaking book, man. It's like, dude, that's a lot of content for one page, but you can't argue with the results of that. So it's important.
That's interesting.
So building out those, some people call them pillar pieces of content. I call them power pages, but you have to have your homepage automatically counts as one of those. You can build lots of links to your homepage, and it's that's a power page, and then you have 5 to 10 more of those, and you can go more than that, but at least 5 more of those, right? That are just these amazing pieces of content. And then on each of those, obviously, you're targeting key phrases, different sets of key phrases on each of those power pages. So you're basically trying to cover the topic thoroughly with your power pages. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the big thing is that's step 2, right? So you have your homepage and your homepage SEO the right way. You go to Power Pages, and then the third type is the sub pages, right? And the sub pages are pages that you care about, but it doesn't really make sense to have a lot of content on those pages, or it just wouldn't be natural, or you're just doing it because you need it, not because it's real. And so well, here's the cool thing about Power Pages, right? And this is a strategy that really is changed the way I do SEO totally. And that is one thing they talk about with Power Pages is after you build these things, you got to promote them like crazy. And I know you've covered this topic, and I'm sure when you have Ryan Dean on, he will cover it in depth as well. But you promote these things like crazy through whatever link building methods you use, right, to get others to link to these Power Pages. And as you do that, you're building up the SEO value of this page. This one page you're just increasing the value, and then so the third strategy is from there you link out inside the Power Pages. Yeah, out inside those Power Pages to your sub pages, right? To the pages that are smaller in your site you care about, you want to rank, but don't have a ton of content, where it doesn't make a ton of sense to treat them like a Power Page, and where you're building lots and lots of links to those pages.
Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies. Check out robertpalmercompanies.com for more information.
Find the true value of your home when you log on. Homevalue.com.
Directive Consulting is an industry-leading search marketing agency fully focused on helping B2B marketing teams increase their results. If you're looking to increase your marketing qualified leads and decrease your cost per acquisition for search engines, I'd highly recommend you take a look at their site. We've actually had their CEO, Garrett Marguth.
Still hear that? Are you still there, guys?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, something went wrong with the commercial break. I got to take it right again. Sorry.
Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies. Check out robertpalmercompanies.com for more information.
Find the true value of your home when you log on. Homevalue.com.
Directive Consulting is an industry-leading search marketing agency fully focused on helping B2B marketing teams increase their results. If you're looking to increase your marketing qualified leads and decrease your cost per acquisition for search engines, I'd highly recommend you take a look at their site. We've actually had their CEO, Garrett Marguth, on the show, and I can honestly say these guys are doing some great stuff. I hear that they even have their own analytics system that lets you correlate your SEO, PPC, or content efforts directly to revenue. If you're a B2B company and thinking about switching agencies, or if you're in-house and need help, I'd give Directive Consulting a look. Visit directiveconsulting.com or call 949-214-4024. Again, that's 949-214-4024. Again, that's Directive Consulting at directiveconsulting.com.
All right, so back to step 3. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, step 3 is just basically piggybacking off the SEO power of the Power Pages to interlink through to these sub pages that, for example, like an e-commerce site, for example, you have all these different product pages, right? And you can only do so much content on one single product page that makes sense, right? But you want those product pages to rank. So where do you get the value from? And this is something we're seeing more and more lately, that you'll see these pages that don't really have links pointing to them ranking in the top. I did a case study on looking at Overstock.com, and Overstock.com, right? They have awesome brand trust, obviously with Google, and they have some pages that have good links to them, but they were ranking number 1 for men's gold watches or something like that. It was a phrase that I searched about 8,000 times a month or something. It was a legitimate phrase. And they ranked number 1 for it. I was like, let me see what their links say, right? And they had nothing, but it was no links pointing to the page. It was like garbage stuff that just automatically shows up with bots or whatever, and that's it. And I was like, wow, that's really surprising that there's that much brand or SEO juice being passed to these inner pages from the other pages that have the links, right? And so that's what you're trying to do, is you build up the power of these Power Pages and then pass that value to the rest of your site. And it's amazing how those pages will rank really quickly with very little SEO effort.
On these Power Pages, Adam, tell us a little bit about what's the breadth of the content on the Power Pages. For example, let's say we want to do one for SEO Jet. Are we going to do a power page on organic SEO, or are we going to do a power page on link building with organic SEO, or are we going to do a power page on categorizing your link building when you do organic SEO? What's the desired breadth?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I've done one of the power pages I have on SEO Jet's blog, and you'll see it. It's literally how to build backlinks, a guide from looking at 5,000 links or whatever. It's the title, something like that, right? And it's like I just picked out one specific thing, how to build backlinks, and that's what it's all about, right? And it just goes through my research that I've done and talks about the index categories. But a lot of stuff we've been talking about here, that blog post talks about, right? And it's 5,000 words long of the research, the takeaways, case studies, all these different things that, snapshots. It's like I wrote it as if I was a guy, if it was me 6 months ago or a year ago going, how the heck do I do this? Would this blog post answer all of my questions, and would I be so grateful it existed, right? That was kind of my mindset. And so I wrote that for anybody else who was like me that wanted the answers but didn't know where to find them, right? And I made sure that it was as in-depth enough to where anybody could follow it and go, yes, I get it. I understand how to build out a link map now and know how to move forward with my link building for any client that I have.
We tend to, on the show, if you've listened to the show, we tend to bring everything back in terms of plumbers, and we use them as our example. So if I'm a plumber and I want to rank my website, do I write a power page about plumbing, or do I write and know that I've got child pages to that plumbing page that is about toilet repair and clogged sinks, etc., or do I write a power page about toilet repair?
I would go as granular as possible, right? And I would base that decision on which one of my services makes me the most money, right, as a plumber. So whichever one that is, if it's replacing boilers or whatever it is, that's the power page I'm going to do first, and then I'm going to just go in order of things that are most profitable to me as a plumber, and I'll write a power page for each of those, and maybe even go, here's how to do it yourself. Let me lay it out for you step by step in 5,000 words, and if you don't want to, let us do it for you.
But could you honestly write a 5,000 word about toilet repair? I mean, it's simple mechanic stuff.
Not toilet repair, but I don't think toilet repair is probably the big moneymaker for plumbers. I think it's
sure.
Like, for example, I had contractors at my house this morning, plumbers, ironically, and they were, because I was we were doing our kitchen, and I was removing a radiator baseboard heater, right? And he's like, let me explain the steps to you. By the time he got done explaining, I'm like, yeah, you could make that into a power page. And
Great real world example. I read an interesting article that if you're thinking about content in today's world, you want to think like the Red Cross, right? You want to always be helpful. You want to be thinking about how do you help someone, and think less about selling someone, but think more about helping someone.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. And then at the same time, if you want to, what some people do is they'll say, I'm going to just give them so much information it overwhelms them, and they want to hire me to do it for them, right? And it's still helpful, but it's like, okay, I realize how much work it is. Now I see why I need a paid professional.
Right.
And one, plumbing example is interesting because not all industries are equal, right? For me, trying to compete in the SEO world, I have to go way above and beyond, right? Because all my competitors know SEO, obviously. But in other industries, that's not necessarily the case. And what some SEO agencies tell me they do is they'll literally just look at the number one ranked guy page that's ranking and say, okay, I'm just going to blow that page out of the water. What I write is going to be so much better than that I know that I'll get results, right? And that's probably the right strategy in terms of what to create for the power page.
How has the new mobile index affected SEO Jet or the strategy that SEO Jet promises?
Quite frankly, it really hasn't been a factor at all because we're not. I mean, we're just dealing with links, right? So that's really not going to change based on a mobile index versus regular. So I don't know that it's been a factor at all, honestly. Well, all we're dealing with is relationships with people in your niche to you, right? And so that's not really a factor.
Okay.
So walk us through the steps here. Like if I was to sign up for SEO Jet, do I give your platform a URL and say, I want to rank like this guy, or how does that work?
No. So what basically you do is you clean your site, whatever site you're working on, and if you have an Ahrefs or Majestic account, you can connect those and bring in any links you've done for that site, right? And then we look at those links and say, okay, based on where you're at right now, here's where you need to go. Here's the links that you need to get still to make sure your profile looks natural. Here's where you need to go to make sure you have brand trust with Google, and then you build out from there. So one of the features we're actually working on right now that will be live soon is we're putting in a competitor analysis where you can actually compare yourself to the number one ranked site. We did it specifically the one that you're trying to rank for that key phrase. The reason why we don't do that like automatically is because we take a holistic approach to it, and that's because one, we don't always know who's ranked number one, what they're doing. Right? They could be doing some black hat stuff that's working that they're going to get penalized for. And if we look at everyone across the board and say these are the things that everyone has in common, then it's a much safer bet, right? And then there's also what was Wikipedia, right? You're never going to match Wikipedia, so looking at only the number one ranked site and for that one key phrase, it's necessarily the right move. But what we do is it's a holistic approach of looking at sites across all categories that rank number one and saying, okay, this is where you want to be. Here's the map to get you there.
Gotcha.
You created a product at one time that I think you very successfully sold about tracking guest posts. Is guest posting a technique that can be used to attract the type of links that SEO Jet recommends?
Yeah, I still run guest post tracker. I think that's what you're talking about. I still own that one and run it, and it's that was kind of the test dummy for everything that SEO Jet does, right? And guest post tracker ranks. And if you search for anything plus the word guest post, including just the word guest post, you'll see guest post tracker in the top 3. But yeah, so guest posting. For example, I just wrote an article for. So I wrote an article for Search Engine Journal, right? And in that article, I talked about how the page title was the number one anchor text that no one was talking about. And then I literally, in that article, said, this is the page title anchor text. And I linked to that article, or to my power page, using the page title anchor text from Search Engine Journal to my site, right? Which I couldn't believe they let me get away with, but they did. And so I got a link with a page title anchor linking, saying, this is the best anchor text. Look, now I'm doing it to my site. And I linked to my site using the page title anchor from Search Engine Journal.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it's like the ultimate best type of link I could have got, for writing that article.
So by using yourself as an example in your article, they allowed that link, which turned out to be an extraordinarily beneficial link.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a win for me. But anyway, absolutely. Guest posting for me is by far the most effective type of link building if done right. Right. There's lots of shady guest post sites out there. But that's why I built Guest Post Tracker. So it was like, I want to find legitimate places I can go guest post on that will bring me traffic and SEO value, right? And so that was how it ended up. I put together, it's just literally just a curated list of 1,400 blogs that accept guest posts.
Gotcha.
Very cool. So what? So we went through all 3 steps. I think we can do. What would be the most important?
So let me, before we move on, there's one piece that I didn't really talk about, and that is, I can't remember, but the biggest thing is on power pages, right? We talk about the percentages, the percentage spread that you want, the 45%, 45 to 55% with keywords plus other stuff. Did we talk about that? I think we did, didn't we?
No,
I don't think so.
No, okay. So you have the spread, right? You have the 45, 15, 35, or 40 spread, right? So 45% to 55% of your links, of your anchor texts that point to your power page should be either your page title as the anchor, a partial keyword, your brand plus a keyword, or keyword plus other words. So some it has your key phrases in it. And when I say keyword, I don't mean just one keyword. We're targeting multiple keywords on here. So like my article, for example, was targeting how to build backlinks, I don't know, stuff like that, right? So I would make sure that any anchor text that I got would have one of my key phrases in it plus something else, my brand name or some other words or whatever. Almost basically half my links would do that. 10 to 15% would be just the word build backlinks or just how to build backlinks or whatever anchor text strategy or whatever key phrases I was targeting on that page. And then the other 30% to 40% we're going to be SEO Jet as the anchor text or SEOjet.net or the full URL of that page or some other form of the URL. So it's imperative that you stay in those ranges because that's what Google would expect to see, right? That if you look at number one ranked sites, that's what they almost all fall into. And I'll literally test this, or I'll put in somebody else's. I'll just grab someone who ranks number one, and I'll bring in their site into SEO Jet and just see if they really are falling into those percentages in the software. And it's hilarious how like clockwork they all just show right there. So that as you're building out links, you want to do it in that order. And the software kind of walks you through that process of, okay, look, you've got too many branded links. Now we need to hit some key phrase stuff to get to boost the value, right? So it just walks you through that as you go along.
Gotcha.
That's great. And make sure that you're spending your time in the most effective manner possible. I think when a lot of people get into link building, number one, they don't know where to start, and then they start traveling down roads that aren't really going to bring them back the value.
Yeah, they go to Fiverr and buy 4,000 links for $5 and go, I don't know, nothing happened. It's weird.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's time.
It's funny. One of the unintended like side effects of this was I started like when I first was doing this and like using a map to build backlinks. I got to top 3 for like guest posting sites, I think it was, or something. It was on Guest Post Tracker, and I just I was curious to see, because it only took me a few months to get there with a new site, in 3, 4, 5 months, and I was curious to see what my competitors had, like where I was versus them, right? And I looked at my competitors, and there was like 200 links, 78 links, 150 links, 600 links. The minimum was 80, and then everyone else is above 100. And then I looked at mine, and I had 8 links.
Wow.
And I'm like, how the heck did I just get to top 3 with 8 links when these guys all have almost 100 minimum? And that was when I realized it's because I'm only building the links I know that I need, instead of building links instead of doing the shotgun approach going, I hope this is enough.
I can see how that saves a ton of time.
Yeah, and money, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And frustration.
And frustration. So it was a big win, and we're moving forward with that strategy.
Very cool. So I think it's time for Believe It or Leave It.
All right, Adam, it's time for Believe It or Leave It, a popular part of the Search Talk Live show. We're going to give you 3 statements that we found on the internet, and we're going to ask you to tell our audience whether they should believe it or whether they should leave it. Are you ready?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, here's number 1. Google will soon have 3 different indexes: desktop, mobile, and voice. Believe it or leave it?
I could believe it.
What's your thought process on that?
I think that if I was Google, I would do that. And so I think that people are going to respond differently, whether they're a voice searcher or a computer searcher or a mobile searcher. And so it makes sense to have 3 different indexes. And so for me, it's just like what makes the most sense. So I would not be surprised if it happened.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think I'm watching how people are using voice search, and they tend to be using it in a different way and potentially to seek out different information. So if the mobile index is based on the fact that we want to return mobile-specific data to mobile searchers, I think it just makes sense that ultimately Google's going to say, hey, we're going to return voice-specific data to voice searchers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I called this the first part of the year.
The interact might be different too.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, just the way they interact with their intent might be different. They just may see that voice searches typically want this, and our mobile results or our regular results don't provide this, and so we need to change it.
Right.
And they unveiled at CES that they're adding the visual part to Google Home and stuff like that. They're now having monitors attached to the Google Home, so now you can do visual as well as, which I think was a missing component.
Yeah,
so it should be interesting.
I did too.
All right, guys. Let's see what else we got.
Number 2.
Oh, number 2. A popular YouTube channel can help organic rank.
I have to say believe it. Although, yeah, I'd say believe it. I think if it's directly connected to the site itself, if I have a YouTube channel that's connected to SEO Jet and it's really popular, and I'm embedding those popular videos into SEO Jet, that's all connected.
Yeah.
Again, I just try to put myself in the mind of Google and say, what would I do if I was them, right? And it just seems to make sense.
Yeah, I would tend to agree too. It seems like that's another way that you can get some of the types of links that you talked about is through your YouTube content potentially. But I think Google, at the end of the day, thinks it's a democracy. It thinks if there is a population of people that like this content, it must be good for some reason. So therefore, we're more likely to return it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, number 3, believe it or leave it. Number 3, branded text links show popularity, which can increase rank.
Branded text links. Oh, yeah. This one I believe wholeheartedly. In fact, that was one of the main points that I said is you have to build brand trust with Google. And, one of the big anchor texts that we're seeing more and more of is the brand plus keyword. And one that I'm using personally, right, is I'll do that specifically because I know that if I put my brand in there, it takes away he's just trying to target the key phrase, but I know that I'm still getting credit for it, right? So brand plus keywords, I like them a lot now. So 100% believer in that one.
All right, clear answer on that one. We're going to believe it. Robert, what are your thoughts on that?
I have to agree with him. I think Adam's right on the money.
Yeah, in fact, I think you ran your own experiment just not that long ago, which kind of proved that the popularity of a brand name as it appears in a link can actually influence rank as a whole.
Yeah, building brand trust. People don't understand how important building brand trust with Google is, and that's something that you can't just do it. I mean, it's hard, right? We were talking about football earlier. It's hard to build branded links on purpose, right? It's like drafting an offensive lineman in the NFL draft. It's like there's nothing sexy about it, but you have to do it. You know what I mean? And so that's just how it is. But it's so important you keep doing it because just think about, okay, if I was Apple, if I was Amazon, would they keep getting links? Would people continue to link to their own page with their brand name? Yes. So that's what you need to do.
Right. Good advice. It's now time for our Search Talk Live tattoo, where we look for you for the shortest, most compact, most powerful piece of advice you can give about today's topic. And remember, it's got to be tattooable.
Tattooable. Okay. Well, let's just go right back to what we were just talking about. Here's a tattoo. I don't have any tattoos, but here's what I suggest you get. Build brand trust. 3 words.
That's a great tattoo. I think Robert has plenty of room for that one.
Yeah, well, the results don't lie. I'm not making this stuff up. If I was making it up, I'd say, hey, this is my opinion, but this is what we're seeing with the data. So
yeah.
Build brand trust.
All right, guys, it's been another episode of Search Talk Live. Adam, I want to thank you for being on the show. Lots of great information. Go check out
SEOjet.net. It's been fun, guys.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. Matt, did you want to add anything?
Great stuff. Good show. A lot of great advice, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Yeah, guys, this is our 99th episode. Next week is our 100th episode, and we're going to have Brian Dean next week. We'll see you next week, guys.
Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies. If you have questions for Search Talk Live, or you're interested in being a guest or a sponsor of the show, email Robert at searchtalklive.com. That's searchtalklive.com.